Hello, I'm the Angry Spork, taking issue with the New 52 origin of Shazam. We started off with a new take on Billy Batson, whose kind and respectable demeanor was all an act to get him the latest house in a string of foster homes. He doesn't really acclimate well, almost immediately alienating his foster siblings and getting in trouble for fighting some affluent bullies. Meanwhile, Dr. Sivana's quest to harness mystical forces leads him to a mysterious tomb, one that leaves him with a scarred eyeball, able to perceive magic itself. It's all so edgy and cool!
Chapter 4 begins in the Vasquez's kitchen, where not only do we find out the parents' first names, Victor has apparently deduced Billy has been acting since they've met. He's not the kid we thought he was.
It is one thing to disrespect his elders and get into fights at school and tell our children we aren't really a family. But he does not actually have a podcast, and I just cannot forgive that kind of deception.
Billy hasn't said much, barely touched his burger, and Rosa chalks that up to Briar's threat. Even if he is the richest guy in the state, she feels someone should report him. As Billy has been bounced from home to home, this is something both parents can relate to, particularly when it involves a less-than-hospitable environment. By Vic's account, Batson feels like no one ever tried to help him, though he's going by this expression on his face, which seems less shocked about something that's never happened before, and more Billy's retcon standard, "You stink, leave me alone, don't need no help from no one."
Now here is a good example of saying more with your dialogue than what's actually printed. The two don't exposit about their times in the foster care system, but we can tell they have some kind of experience, and probably not all of it great. For all my other problems with the story, or the writer in general, this is actually done very well.
Behind a cracked open door, which is either a framing device, done just for the sake of a unique angle, or maybe an indication someone is spying on them, Rosa hopes things will get better, recalling Mary's first arrival. Billy's different.
Completely different. It's not like they're twin siblings or something. Unless DC gets enough hate mail, in which case they'll retcon it to say they've always been siblings.
Freddy wakes up as Batson is packing his bag and sneaking out, noticing he dropped something. Pickles?
Oh, sweet mercy. He's killed Pickle Rick!
Freeman follows him into the snowy town, keeping sure to remain hidden as Billy crawls through a hole in a brick wall blocked by shrubbery outside the zoo. He follows, seeing his foster-not brother talking to a tiger he calls Tawny, whom Billy recalls in his earliest memories just as easily as his parents. He gives the beast a pickle-free burger when its snarl alerts him to Freddy's presence. After being thrown to the ground, he gives Billy his wallet back, having only taken it out of curiosity, not theft. It still contains his $3 picture of Tawny and a membership card to the Family Finders website.
I do find it just a little bit weird that he went more than 24 hours without ever reaching for his wallet for one reason or another, especially given the fact that he closely guards his personal possessions.
Fred insists that the Vasquezes are good people that truly care, more than his biological parents that are locked up ever did, but Billy couldn't care less and tells the crippled boy to leave. Before he goes, he thanks Billy for decking the brothers Briar, a sentiment shared by the other kids, and hopefully they'll be left alone for a while. The bullies normally harass them every day, requiring Freddy to act as a distraction for Mary to get the rest to Amscray. After his encounter with their dad, Billy wouldn't mind some retribution, and it just so happens Freddy knows where they live, as the tiger roars for effect.
Vandalism is great!
At Savannah's dig site, he's found a statue, some hieroglyphs, but everyone else just sees a wall. His assistant Gregory says that in a room just over yonder there's some treasure, but the doc says it's a distraction meant to lure the weak from the magical power beyond the wall. Translating the glyphs, thanks to his cool new glowing eye, he says that Black Adam was imprisoned by his enemies, until such time as someone powerful enough to destroy him is found, and a single word is uttered.
Shazam!
He says it, and after an explosion of lightning and at least one of the guides being crushed by a falling rock, Black Adam stands among the rubble on a splash page, demanding in his native tongue, "Where is the wizard?"
Try Hogwarts. I suppose you could also check the Land of Oz, but they only have one wizard, and word is he's kind of a letdown, mystically speaking.
Chapter 5 picks up immediately from there, where we see Adam kill the other guide, fly Savannah and Greg outside, and threatens them for answers. Since he doesn't speak his exact tongue, Adam fricassees Greg, which Savannah doesn't seem to mind, saying he'll help find this elusive wizard.
Things don't get better when Savannah mistakenly tries getting Adam a subscription to the now-defunct Wizard magazine.
Back in Philly, Batson and Freddy plan to break into Mr. Breyer's car, shift it into neutral, and send it down the nearby hill, which is hilarious, as long as you don't consider how it could crash into another late-night motorist or into someone's home or business, cause all sorts of damage to innocent bystanders, that sort of thing. But the car alarm goes off, alerting the people inside the house. Before making their getaway, Billy throws the much slower Fred into nearby bushes and allows himself to be seen by the Breyers, with their father basically ordering his sons to chase Batson down. After causing a car crash, knocking aside a Santa that the Breyers straight up knock down, and leaping into a subway car, Billy makes an almost clean escape. He does get punched in the face just as the doors are closing. As the train starts moving, lightning crackles around him, the car suddenly empty and looking far more old-fashioned. It stops, the doors open, and Billy walks through the fog into the Rock of Eternity.
Go into the kitchen, and you can smell what the Rock of Eternity is cooking! It was a bit of a stretch, but I thought I'd go for it.
Chapter 6 takes up all of Justice League number 0, and this cover, people. You can faintly see the outlines of a page scene later in the background, as this was the theme of the New 52 number 0s, but all your focus is on Shazam bursting through, looking like he's about to eviscerate someone and enjoy it the entire time.
He is supposed to be a hero, right? So why does he look like he's about to do something so unspeakable it give the heebie-jeebies to Scott Snyder's Joker? Or Frank Miller's Batman? Or Zack Snyder's Superman?
The wizard narrates that he hid magic from the world after Black Adam killed his compatriots, leaving him alone to imprison their champion. But when Adam returned, it sapped more of his power, alerting him to his newfound freedom. Billy is wandering the castle, a topic of discussion for some of the artifacts, though he doesn't seem to notice much. He follows a voice calling him down a corridor, stopping at the displays for the 7 deadly sins, now upgraded to magical holograms.
If it's good enough for an animated Japanese pop star, it's good enough for the physical manifestations of the evils to mankind. Wait a minute.
The voice calls again. "This is no time for fun and games!" Hey, the prime directive for the New 52 made it into the script. Why am I not surprised? Anyway, Billy finally meets the wizard, who's doubtful the kid is up for the task at hand. He says he's the last of the Council of Wizards, keeper of the greatest magical fortress there is, and finds Billy to be a rotten child. His dialogue bubble and font change as he asks if the kid is pure good, and some flashbacks, both previously seen and unseen, confirm for him that no, he's not. The kid is as imperfect as everyone else, and Billy snipes back that in his 15 years of life in this town, people are all terrible, and they're disappointing, and they take advantage of the good, dragging them down no matter how hard one tries to be nice and kind, meaning the wizard has been searching for something that doesn't exist.
Except that this line of thinking, again from a 15-year-old boy, omits the clear difference between a good person that makes mistakes and someone that treats everyone like an enemy at the start because it's easier for them to behave that way. But if we acknowledge that difference, then this whole reinvention suddenly starts to look really stupid.
The old man can't take the powers back once they've been given, but he's got little other recourse, so he instead filters his search for embers of good within Billy, which he sees in his protection of his foster siblings, helping another girl from a previous home, and feeding Tawny. What, does the zoo not feed the tiger or something? I mean, there's a reason zoos have those signs, do not feed the animals, so that's kind of irresponsible, but moving on. So the wizard now sees potential in the child, and tells him to say the magic word.
Say the line, Bart!
Nothing happens at first, and he's told that he must say it with purpose, belief, good intentions, and with his parents and family in mind, so as to be transformed into his greatest potential.
Shazam!
He says it, and on a splash page, he's become his superpowered self. Now with a hoodie, a chest emblem that looks like it should have a sign next to it that says, "Try me, I light up!" And of course, the capricious costume lines because stupid.
It's a costume that whispers, nostalgia, but screams, trying too hard!
As the holder of the living lightning and inheritor of the wizard's chair on the Council of Eternity, you know, the one where all the other members are dead, Billy can now fly and possess demigod-like strength, which he demonstrates by wrecking one of the thrones, easily impressing himself. But he's warned not to waste his powers. He must stop Black Adam from awakening the 7 deadly sins and conquering all magic, which he'll likely kill Billy to achieve. Billy can also weave spells once he's learned them, and must protect his family like the wizard should have done back in his own days. At first, Batson thinks he's talking about his biological parents, that he might know where they are, hinting that they may not be dead, but the wizard tells him family is what it can be, not what it should be. That is your secret spell, your ultimate power.
Just look up an old sitcom called Big Brother Jake. You'll get the gist of it pretty quickly.
As Magic's current champion, Billy is all that stands between the world and those that would enslave or destroy it. You are Shazam! The wizard falls over, and when Billy reaches for him, he's blasted back. Meanwhile, Freddy emerges from the briar's bushes when Shazam appears right behind him in a flash of lightning. Understandably, he runs because, again, look at the cover! But Batson grabs him, says he's Billy, and, of course, all it takes is a convincing glaring into his eyes for confirmation. By the next page, he's basically told everything to Fred, who figures the old man died giving up those powers. Billy tests his strength further by lifting the Briar's SUV, but the alarm sounds again, waking Mr. Briar again. Though this time, when the Patriarch storms out, now armed with a baseball bat in case the short 15-year-old has returned, he finds his car smashed grill first into the ground.
You know, I don't think the reveal of the destroyed car would have been at all spoiled if they had shown a sound effect of the destruction before the reveal. Otherwise, we're led to believe that somehow Billy managed to destroy the car in complete silence on the lawn in front of the house of the owner as he was already headed towards the front door. You can't blame this on magic.
The one responsible and his new pal are reveling in their destruction, Billy declaring he's done listening to anyone else. If he's going to take Freddy's suggestion of getting beer, he'll need to get some more normal-looking clothes, and that's when his powers short out some nearby lights. As they ponder if he can't get too close to electrical systems, they see a man holding up a woman with bags of toys for a children's hospital. Is this really early morning, or is this late at night still? Anyway, Billy puts his hood up and confronts the man, by smacking him harder than he intended, sending him across the street into a parked car. The woman asks how she can repay him, and going with Fred's signal, he says he's short on cash. And, slightly awkward moment, she gives him $20, which our quote-unquote hero seems more fixated on than her thank you.
You can't tell, but my eyes are twitching with suppressed rage quite severely right now.
The comic ends with the two back outside the zoo, Freddy and Billy figuring that the mugger will be just fine, but more excited about their reward.
We are gonna be rich!
Hey, DC's delusions about the New 52 made it into the script. Why am I not surprised?
That brings us to the halfway point of this review, and I gotta say, I'm still not entirely enthused about all this.
There were moments that were genuinely well written, and we've seen Batson do some good deeds, though they have made him less of a flawed person and more just a bad kid, who takes his anger out on anyone nearby. He's succumbed to the cynicism around him, and he expects someone that's supposedly wiser to accommodate his limited worldview, rather than admit he has a less than perfect perspective on how things really are. Are we sure Zack Snyder didn't co-write this thing? It'd certainly explain a lot.
Next week, we see just what Billy and Freddy do with this newfound power, for better or for worse. Probably minus the better. I'm the Angry Spork. Man, have I got issues.
Shazam.